Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul from Coding After 30 here. Glad to have you here on this amazing Saturday night. Yes. Just want to say hello to everybody. I know some of you guys already been waiting. We got, let's see, Lucky Noise. Let's go. I like it. Let's go. Let's get this stream started. Adrian, obviously, smash the like button. Of course, you guys should be smashing the like button. 3D Games, my favorite coding show. Man, thank you, 3D Games. It means a lot to me because I'm literally some dude on the internet that has an opinion. I don't even know if it's right, but it's working out. Luke, hey, good to see you here, buddy. Hello, fellow over 30 coders. Fantastic. Hamza Code. Hey, Paul. DJ Norris. What's up? Glad that you were able to, come on. Hey, DJ Norris, by the way, I know we have another podcast that I still have to finish editing. I'm such a lunatic, so busy right now that I'm trying to make it. But anytime you want to jump on a live stream, which is always the easiest way to do it because you just show up and talk. DJ Norris, I'm always happy to have you. So, anytime. At literally any time. Like, if you wanted to jump on today, we could do it today without any notice or anything like that. I'm not saying that I'm not prepared for this live stream without, like, some good content that we're going to talk about. Because what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about day in life of a software engineer. And you know what? It's not going to be the type of video where it's like, it is awesome, I do this, I drive on my Batmobile to work, and there's drone footage. I'm going to talk about like some of the things that I've had to do at work that, number one, I wish I knew the expectation before getting hired. So I do want to talk about kind of what I do at work and why it's important to you guys. Because the most important thing is that instead of trying to build type of projects that assume what you think you'd be doing at work, you want to build type of projects that basically mimic exactly the things you will be doing at work. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about. Dave Live, software engineer, most important lessons I learned that I wish I knew, and all that other nice jazz. Let's keep saying hi. Let me know if my audio is good. Let me know if I'm not too loud yelling at you guys. Let me know if it might be too loud. Let me tune that down a little bit. Let me know if the music is not going crazy. But like, I had a plan to go to bed earlier tonight, but you stopped me. Bro, if you need to go to sleep because you got to wake up early tomorrow, definitely go ahead and do so. I will not hold it against you because I get it. But if you're going to stay up anyway, might as well stay up on this amazing live stream. And it's 1 a.m. here. 1 a.m. Yeah, that's like normally when I start doing work last night, because I'm trying to just, like, here's the thing. Like, at my job, there's so much stuff I have to do. And there's a lot of stuff that, like, I don't even know the solution to. So sometimes, like, at 1 a.m. at night, like, something will come up in my head. It's like, oh, this could be a possible way to solve a thing you're dealing with at work. I literally stay up till 4 or 5. Like, last night, I went to bed at 5 a.m., which was ridiculous. And I'm trying to fix my sleep. But you know, it is what it is. So if you're able to stay up, of course. But if you have to go to bed because you have plans tomorrow, please don't let my show stop you from going and getting sleep, because it's important. Hey, Logix Indie, good to see you here. Hey, saying hi to everybody. See, DJ Norris got his priorities. Watching during family time. I'd like to do something soon, though. Yeah, definitely will be awesome, and I will eventually make it through the podcast that we recorded about Shopify. Hopefully soon. I feel bad because I don't feel like I'm overextending myself, but at the same time, it's like it is what it is. And I did talk to you early. Excuse me. I did talk to you earlier about, you know, this idea when you get your job, you do have to try to make yourself as valuable as you possibly can be to the company you're working on, so you're not replaceable, or at least you're able to show and bring enough value to the table that you have continuous employment. And that's kind of like super important. Hey, Brian, thanks. Everything sounds good. Fantastic. Yep. A bum fluent mayor. Yo, what's up? Yeah, I hope I pronounced it right. I can't pronounce anybody's names. But anyway, it's going to be a fun stream tonight. I want to talk about a day in life of a software engineer. Most important lessons I learned, I wish I knew. And it's a lot. And kind of like the thing that, like, you know, and I don't want to kind of, there's a lot of videos which talk about what people do. And I think those type of videos, you know, and some of those videos are ridiculous. They got like cars, drone footage, whatever. But the point is that I'm trying to say, like, the only time a day in life of a software engineer makes sense if it has applicable things that you could take away from that you could apply today while you try to get hired. to tweak your portfolio, to do the changes that you need to make in order to be able to move forward. And so, hey, Q, what's up? It's been a long time. What's up, Polly boy? I fucking miss you, bro. I miss you too, man. I miss you too. I'm glad that you were able to make it. I hope everything is well with you. I hope everybody's doing great here. Listen, this whole live stream, honestly, I just want to talk to you guys. I just want to, chit and chat and talk about what you guys got going on, all the different things you guys are doing, and most importantly, I want to hear your comments, your questions, so we could have a discussion. I don't want to be a one-way conversation. By the way, we have a Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, you could go ahead and join our Discord. It'll be fantastic for you guys to be there, because I'm only one man, but if you have a community of like individuals that are able to give suggestions, solutions, and answer questions in the Discord to make my job easier, it will be fantastic. And there's a lot going on, but let's just keep saying hello, and then we'll jump into the topic. And if you guys have questions about day in life of a developer, software engineer, whatever you want to call it, and you want to know what it's up, let's talk about it. But Hamscott, I got a job last week. Senior developer is rude, and he don't even communicate well. While taking most of the time, he hangs up on the phone. He gave me a task that even he can't do. I did that task in 2 hours. Bro, the fact that you did it in 2 hours is fantastic. So my first job, and sometimes that's what happens. You have to pay the price. Like my first job, same senior developer, literally was rude as hell. If he did no respect, because he thought he was the most amazing person there ever. He thought that he could solve every problem himself, even though sometimes he couldn't. And then same thing, he will assign tasks to me, and if I couldn't do it within 5 minutes, he would call me stupid idiot. I'm hoping that that's not what you're going through, but the truth is sometimes that happens. And the best thing you could do, you just kind of, especially when you're first starting out, you kind of have to make the best of it, even though the situation is not best. And there's going to be these crazy narcissistic senior developers. It's not all companies, but it does happen. So my advice to you, just do the work that you can. And I'm going to tell you right now, the fact that you solved something in 2 hours is fantastic, because I remember spending a full 8-hour day and not being able to solve nothing. It was just so crazy, and I felt like such a fraud my first time working on a company. And there's many different types of companies obviously out there, but when you're first getting hired, when you get your job, it's a hit or miss. And I was talking to this girl, let me go find her YouTube channel so I could share and throw some love her way. She's actually amazing, and she has a couple of good videos. It'll take me a while to search her up, because obviously all of you know the running joke is I can't type and talk at the same time. But I think it's how I got hired at Versal. I think that will come up if I find it. Oh man, there's so many videos. Is it? No. Oh, I gotta scroll down. Where's her video? Oh god. Oh god. I'm scrolling down. There's apparently a lot of people that got hired in Versal. I'm trying to best way I could, under pressure. I can't search for anything. I can't type for anything. I can't do anything to save my life. But I bet I just gotta look under my subscribers. Yep. Anyway, guys, don't be shy. I see a bunch of you guys already smashed the like button. I really appreciate it, because without you guys, this channel would not exist. I would not exist. So I'm very blessed to have you guys building this community. Honestly, you guys are the building blocks of the community. I'm just here for the ride, and you guys are who make this community work. So definitely lots of thanks, lots of love to all of you guys, because honestly, that's how we grow together. We build a team, we keep moving forward, and we do what we have to do. The one thing that I'm never going to tell you on this channel how easy things are, because BS, things are not easy. Things are difficult, things are hard. We got to do the work. And I'm just scrolling on my left screen if I look away. Just because I want to find this channel. I'm really bad with remembering stuff, because I used to do boxing a long time ago. I don't know if you guys knew, boxing is not good for your brain. It really isn't. If you get too many concussions, it's not good. It's not cool. And so what I'm trying to do is remember where I saved this video that I wanted to talk about. But anyway, guys, what I meant to say, like, because you guys are the big part of this channel, you're the big part of this community, don't be shy asking questions in the chat. And join our Discord. One day I want to have like Discord party where we get everybody in Discord jumping in live, and that way I could see your faces. I could see you guys, if you want to, you guys could jump in, or at least hear you guys talk. I think that'll be fun. I think it'll be great. And so yeah, let me here we go. I think I know where I'm going with this. Yeah, so whoa, sorry about that. There's some ads playing in the background from this video. But here we go. I'm going to go to the channel. I'm going to show you. All right, guys. So what I was talking about. So we talked about, you know, working with senior developers who are crazy. Kind of this idea of, you know, when you get hired, sometimes you might not be in control of, like, what, you know, kind of developers, what kind of environment you're going to be here. So I had a pleasure, like, and if you guys, let me share my screen here. Screen share. Yeah, so this is this chick Delba. She's really awesome, really cool. She actually has a very interesting story. She went from going to medical school, then having some family issues, moving back with her family. Then when she went back to med school again, it didn't work out, and you know, it's just this crazy up and down roller coaster. And then eventually she decided to become a web developer. So she got a job with Vercel, the people that create Next.js. And by the way, what I want to say to you guys is what I want to say, let me move my screen here, let me adjust it here. Okay, what I want to say is that go check out 2 of her videos. They're very motivational, like, you know, because it's good to hear other stories. But she didn't say this in the video, but I kind of had a chat with her because I do want to have her come on and talk about her journey. I think it'll be awesome. She and I'll put a link to her channel if you guys definitely go check it out. She's really cool. Give her channel some love. And she had a really good advice. Like, one of the things, I started to do this much later in the interview process, and I'm kind of amazed that she kind of had the foresight to be aware of that, you know, early on. So when you go apply to your job, very important for you guys to ask, what is the onboarding process? Ask questions about what is the culture of the company, like what do you guys believe in? And that will give you a good feel in the interview of, like, is this the company you want to work for? Do they have a process? Like my first company, I didn't ask that question, but if I did, the owner would not have an answer for me because they were just like wild, like chickens running with their heads cut off. And when I got my job and when I you know, first got hired, they just threw me to the deep end, and it was a very miserable experience and kind of harms the code. Like, the reason I say this to you guys is because, especially for you, like, it's normal sometimes and it's not our fault. So the best thing I would say is that even though I had to deal with so much toxicity, dealing with these higher, you know, senior devs who are too good to smell their own farts, like, you just have to be there. Look, I'm here because I need experience. If I could be here for 3 months, that's good. It's going to look awesome on my resume. If I could do it for 6 months, it'll be even more awesome. Then you could start looking for a job, and then you're going to get there eventually. Just keep grinding through. Yeah, so cute. That's a good advice. Like, slap them around, but like in your mind, don't do it in real life because that's not doesn't look good in the workforce when you're slapping people around. But I totally get you, Q. That's kind of like I being a MMA jiu-jitsu guy. I'm like, man, I'm gonna choke this dude out, like squeeze tight, put him to sleep. But at the same time, that's not how you grow in your company. You have to learn, and part of the skill you should have is being able to work with difficult people, and you kind of have to put your frustration aside and kind of be like, okay, this person, I can't control how they respond, but what can I do to make my communication with that person be much better and easier? Created with code. Looks like your cat are chilling. Yeah, they're chilling hardcore. They're definitely like sleeping. I would move my camera, but I'll break it. There's 2 of them. They're like black. Literally, there's 2 of them next to each other, but it looks like one big fat cat because they're black and they match each other. Let's see here. Yeah, he doesn't even give you, like, so Hamza is, you know, talking about the senior. He doesn't even give you time to think about such stuff. But this is one thing you got to take into consideration. So when you're working with senior developers, they're definitely making more money than you, right? Let's say if you're a junior or like even mid, And the whole point, this is like the idea that I was going to tell you why junior developer jobs, they're not saturated. And I talked about last stream ago, like if you feel they're saturated, is that your skill level and your portfolio doesn't meet the baseline of what the hiring manager is looking for. So that's just something you have to do to step up your game. But there are jobs available, because I work with a senior developer, and he literally told me, this is what he told me, because it's on a small team. He goes like, Paul, like, you're doing fine. And the reason he said that is, I don't even think because like I'm doing fine, but because on a small team, right, he doesn't want to do the stuff that I'm doing. He has higher level priorities that he has to solve. So having a junior developer, right, having a junior developer, you get to do the things that a senior developer shouldn't do, because number one, they get paid too much to do those simpler tasks. And number two, they have other things that they have to do. So always think, like, when you're getting hired, especially as a junior, you're basically you're freeing up time for some of the senior developers not to worry about the simpler stuff. And that's why I say, like, it's not that the job market is saturated, is that we just have to make sure our game is up to par that we're able to get hired initially. And we'll talk more about it. And yeah, what's up? And I got you, man. I got you. Rugby is a better alternative. Yes, it sure is. Rugby, man, so funny you say that, because like a lot of people tell me, like, who would you never fight? You know, like even though I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I did boxing for a while. They're like, would you fight a football player? Yeah, no problem. Would I ever fight a rugby player or pick a fight with? Hell no. Wrestler? Hell no. Like, right, there's certain sports people play, like, it just translates so well into being a tough dude. And rugby players, good lord. So, hey, Paul, I'm trying to think of a good project for my portfolio. I want to do something that deals with a lot of data, and any thoughts? So great question, because what we started to do, I started a stream every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, US time, on building your cornerstone project. And this whole idea came from the standpoint, it's like, look, and this comes back to this question of like day in life of a software engineer, is because I realized when I did not have a job, and I was building portfolios to get a job, I was building things under assumption of what I knew, what the people were looking for. And I might build things that don't really showcase the type of skill that you need to be able to get a job. You know what I'm saying? And so after working for 2 years as a software engineer, and some of the tasks that people ask me, I realized instead of just building a portfolio that you think hiring managers want to build stuff based on what I'm actually doing at work and what I'm getting paid for. So we started this project. It's going to be a website. It's going to take a long time to make. It's going to be massive. And I'm building it from scratch on the live stream, so I'm not prepared. And so the reason I'm not doing a prepared kind of showcase tutorial is because I want you to see how I run into problems and how that's normal. It's normal to be stuck. It's normal to struggle. So I want to capture that in the live stream. So everything we do on the live stream is raw, uncut, looks boring as hell, but at the same time you get the real expectation of what and how the process of building something yourself is. But to answer your question, is that you definitely want to build something that is more complex. And you guys could go check out, and I should on my YouTube channel, right, I should make a playlist specifically for, that's a good idea, thanks for reminding me, like I should make a playlist for that specific lives. But let me share my screen here for a second. So if you guys missed it, I'm sharing the wrong screen here, but we talked about that already. Let me go to Firefox. Boom. So obviously this is my channel. We're live right now. Welcome to go check it out. Wait, you're already checking it out. So if you scroll all the way down, you see the live, and I got to put this into a separate thing, but there's Project Party Tuesday Live. It's all about building a portfolio that's your cornerstone projects, complex enough that's going to help you get a job. We're on episode 3. You could always go back and check out episode 1, right? You could check out episode 1. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is. But there's episode 1. So that, here you go. Episode 1 here. Check that one out. You could watch episode 2, episode 3. And the point to give you an idea of what it's like working through a project from scratch. And that's what all of you guys should be doing. And coming back to this idea of what the day in life of a software engineer, this concept that I started kind of really griping on, even more than before, get off tutorials and start building stuff from scratch is so important. And I'm going to tell you why today. But first, let me go say hello in the chat. I love that you guys are chatting it up. I appreciate it because you guys are what make this community. And this is what I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to you guys Lucky, I don't know why, but while I'm trying to sleep, I think better how to solve some code problems than while coding. That's, you know what it is? Like, and I get that a lot too. And this is what happens, Lucky. Like sometimes what happens, you're at work, you're sitting at the computer like, oh, I gotta figure this out. And what's happening, you didn't give your brain time to process like the problem. And you're just trying to solve it before your brain had time to process the information. And what happens after you come back home from work, you relax a little bit, you have your dinner, you chill a little bit, and then you go for a jog, whatever it is, your brain had time to kind of take time, process that information. And then as you go to sleep, your brain's like, got it, I think I figured it out, the solution. And then you start kind of going through the steps. So with that being said, if you're at work and you're having a hard time concentrating and thinking, because a lot of times it's not just one thing you're working on. There could be other things that you could work on. So a lot of times I would be working on a ticket and I would get stuck. And if I see that it takes me like an hour, hour and a half to kind of even find the direction to move, I will look at another ticket. I will give time. I will give a break to allow my brain to kind of process that and let me think. So one of the things that I actually learned, I wish someone taught me, and starting working at the beginning, is that I thought that you just have to force yourself to figure out the solution, but sometimes giving time and taking a break is super important. And that was a very hard lesson for me to learn, to be able to kind of force myself to take breaks or at least move on to different tasks. So what's up, Sanjeev, data science and machine learning complete roadmap, please. Bro, I wish I could help you. I'm not a data science guy or a machine learning guy, but I would just say there's plenty of stuff online and I wish I could help you, but I'm not into Python. I'm not into data science or machine learning, because for me, from the standpoint of getting a job, the easiest way, React, JavaScript is the best way to do it. The problem with data science is that a lot of the stuff, like I'll give you an example. So I work for a company where they are using data science, machine learning, and their backend is in Python. And when I asked to my boss, because I work as a front-end developer, and luckily they allowed me to work on the backend API, create a new one using JavaScript, because they didn't need super complex calculations. It's a finance company like they do on their other applications. But when I was talking more about doing more data science stuff with Python, the next question, well, how much math do you know, right? So this is something that I want to caution you against. If math is not your strong suit, or maybe you don't have a BA in math, or you're just not good at math, data science will be very difficult, because not only you will have to learn Python or all that other stuff, you will have to learn math. And I'm going to give you some examples. It's actually kind of like with what I'm doing, is that there some formulas that I had to kind of incorporate, and then there's some stuff I had to figure out on my own. And guess what? For some of the stuff I was stuck, so I had to reach out to a senior developer and be like, hey, like I know you guys solved this problem in Python, like how did you do it? Can you point me in the right direction so I could have the right solution that I could implement with JavaScript? So that's something to keep in mind with data science. And it's kind of like, again, great question. Must have skills for software engineers irrespective of their specific fields. And communication would be number one. So if like you need to be able to communicate with the managers, with other developers, you have to be able to, like, here's the thing, like if you and I talk, like you might say something to me and I might interpret it not the way you meant it. And if I don't have communication skills to follow up on that and repeat to you what you told me to make sure that I'm on the same page as you, and continue working, a week down the road, you'll be like, Paul, that's not what I told you to do. What the hell are you doing? And I'm like, but I thought this is what you told me. And he'll be like, no, that's not what I said. So communication, irresponsible of field you are, that's the number one skill you could have and work on, because what you need to be able to do, need to be able to talk to your senior engineers, you have to talk to your managers, and they have to be able to explain a problem for you, and you have to be able to listen to what they tell you, understand what they told you, and if you don't understand, definitely repeat what you think they said to make sure that there is no ambiguity in what they're asking you to do. So communication is definitely the number one skill. And Hamza, because I'd rather make money working for McDonald's and have a self-respect than messing around with this bullshit job. You know what? Like, you can, but sometimes you'll be at McDonald's and there's going to be a jerk-off manager. You know what I'm saying? So what I would say to you, Hamza, is that stay strong, and you have to understand, look, I'm 41 years old, right? Here's the thing for you. Assholes are everywhere. They're everywhere. You can't run away from them. Like, one of the most important lessons I learned is from a Stoic philosophy, Stoicism. You know, they say just assume that you're going to run into some jerks today, and that's just the way life is. So it's not going to be a surprise. So when I run into someone who's a jerk, I'm like, hey, I kind of knew that was going to happen. You know what? Instead of worrying about your BS, I'm just going to worry about what I can do, what's in my control, and do that. So that's very, very, very important to remember that. Listen, I deal with jerks all the time, and you will deal with jerks all the time. My daughter, who's 22 now, that's the most important lesson I taught her, is they're going to be jerks all the time. And now she has that, like, when she wakes up, she's like, I'm going to run into some jerk for sure. It's not even going to be a surprise. And her life is much easier for that. So it's very, 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 very important to kind of understand that there's things that you could control, and then there's things that you can't. And if you let things that you can't control bother you, you will never get ahead. And that's just, you know, hard knocks life. You know, that's how things work. And the reason why I tell you this is because I don't want to lie to you and be like, yeah, I totally agree with you, like work at McDonald's. But I'm just trying to tell you, no, pursue the job that you want, and just understand there's going to be jerks no matter where you go. That's how it is. And let me tell you, like talk about ex-wives, man, there's never end. There's always people that you're going to disagree with, and people you feel like want to ruin your life. And so one of the and my first job, I was there for 1 year and a half with the same situation that you're in, Hamza. And I wanted to quit every day. You know, I thought I was going to get fired every day. And I lasted a year and a half, and then I left because I found better opportunity, and my income jumped like 2-3 times more money than I made at my first job. So what I'm telling you guys, paying and sacrificing and dealing with jerks for a year and a half is a small price to pay to have a career as a web developer for the rest of your life. And I hope that makes sense to you. And so, great question. What are we building on a project that we're building? We're doing React. And basically the whole idea, if you want to make a very complex app that has a back end, we're not building the back end from scratch. If you're looking to get a job, I suggest doing it the React way. Not have to make API yourself, but you have to understand how to work with an API. So what we're doing is we're building a full stack application, but instead of creating the API from scratch, we're using a service called Strapi, which is basically allows you to create an API very quickly. What I like about it is if you decide to go into full stack eventually, and this is kind of what we're using Strapi, you could like read their docs. They talk about what they do. They're used by some big companies like IBM, NASA, screw Walmart, who cares about them? And it allows, it's open source, it's highly customizable. The awesome part about Strapi is that if you want to take it like deep and build complex logic, it gives you hooks where you could write your own custom controllers. And I feel like once you learn Strapi, and yeah, it's based on JavaScript, which is for me is awesome because I'm a React JavaScript developer, so I don't have to learn another language. It allows you to have RESTful GraphQL, like RESTful API or GraphQL API, and you host it wherever you want. But the beauty about Strapi, how does it work? It kind of explains it to you, whatever, not important. You could go to this website and check it out. But what I'm saying is that we're using Strapi because it makes your job easier. And if you're looking to transition into full stack development one day soon, Strapi, in my opinion, is one of the easiest ways to start learning about working with the back end as a front-end engineer, and then eventually be able to get good enough to be able to write that custom code yourself. So unless you really decided to be a full stack developer because you love working with databases, you love writing back-end code, like go ahead and do that. But if you're looking to get a job, you want to break into the field, the easiest way and the simplest way is doing it with React, JavaScript, front-end software engineers, and with a kind of good understanding of being able to consume an API in the back end, understanding how the CRUD works, understanding how to write the synchronous JavaScript, either to hit a REST point API or GraphQL API. So that's why we are using Strapi. We're also building the application in React, and the reason why we're building it in React because it's going to have a dashboard part of it where developers could manage their own projects that they're working on. They could share their portfolios. They could leave comments and talk to other people. So it's going to be like they could track how much time they spent on a portfolio. So it's going to be a massive app, but we're starting it very simply. And then eventually what I want to do, I want to show you, because we're using Strapi as a backend, it's kind of decoupled from our front end. So not only are we going to have a React application, then I'm going to show you how to make a website which uses either server-side rendering or creates a static version of that site, which is faster. So maybe we, like in the future, we'll create something with Next.js, which will allow us to kind of see the difference between React, Next.js, and be able to tell why would you use React, why would you use Next.js, what's the difference between client rendering and server-side rendering, and all the other great stuff. But that's some of the basic stuff we're using, and we're using PostgreSQL for our database and a bunch more stuff. Like I said, GraphQL, but definitely check out those live streams. They're gonna bring you up to date. And I'm also going to make some standalone tutorials, which are going to be very short, sweet to the point, so you don't have to sit through the whole live stream. I'll put these on this channel. I'm also gonna have a blog post if you wanna, instead of watching a video, you just wanna look at the quick kind of outline of what we did and just see the code that I wrote, and then, because sometimes it's faster reading a blog than watching a whole video. So I'm gonna do all those things. And the reason that I'm doing it is because I wanna kind of talk about how do you build your authority as a software engineer. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you sell yourself? How you show others that you're capable of doing the work you are doing, and this idea of marketing yourself. And so I'm using YouTube to talk about this Cornerstone project that I'm doing, and I'm also going to have a blog which is going to talk about the problems I'm solving, and then I'm going to share parts of that blog on LinkedIn. So not only am I teaching you how to build this portfolio, I'm also using it to build my brand as a developer. And I suggest, if you don't have a blog, if you don't have a portfolio, if you don't have LinkedIn, if you don't have GitHub, you got to get those things started today. And if you're new to my channel, I talk about this all the time, hardcore. So check out my previous live streams just to make sure that you guys, are doing what you guys have to do. Can you follow me on GitHub? I made an account a few days ago named Lucky the Professional. Yeah, can you just, you could share the link to it. Let me look it up. Let me go to GitHub, follow you. Yeah, you guys could follow me if you like. On GitHub. But actually, you know what? I do want to follow all of you guys on GitHub. I want to have you follow me on GitHub. And since we're on this topic, Lucky the Professional. Let me search Lucky the Professional. Lucky the Professional. Guys, if you are part of the Coding After 30, we couldn't find any repositories. How do I find user? Yeah, if you want to share your link here, or if you're not on Discord, you could share that link on Discord. They'll be great too. By the way, if you guys want to join our Discord, let me, I already put the invitation. I'll put it again in the chat here. But dude, Lucky, send me a link either here or on Discord, because I can't find your GitHub. But guys, bare minimum. And I know I keep saying life in the day of a junior developer, or a software engineer, whatever. But the point is that unless it helps you to tweak things today to help you get hired, you shouldn't worry about what developers do at their job, because you didn't get hired yet. You don't have a job to So yes, I know it's exciting to talk about that, and we'll definitely talk about it, because there's some important lessons and steps you could take to help you understand what you need to do today to get better. But let me just share here, let me share my other screen here. So guys, if you're serious about getting a job, there's 3 things you need to start with today. And I said this before on my live streams. I'm going to say it again in this live stream. I'm going to keep saying it for the rest of my life on every other stream, because it's important. Because if nobody knows you're a developer, or you're wanting to become a developer, how are people supposed to discover you? How they're supposed to know what you're doing? So let me screen share my screen and switch to my other screen. And the thing that I'm trying to tell you guys is that if you want to be a developer, you got to put stuff out there. So yeah, I'm sharing my real name. I'm sharing my real contact information, because I'm a real person, and I don't want to tell you guys, I don't want to be a talking head dude on YouTube that just talks about stuff but then keeps everything secret about himself. Because I want you to know that 3 years ago, I didn't have a job. I didn't know what to do. I fucking put my best. I did my best and grinded for 3 years. And now I'm a web developer. I'm a software engineer. And so you need to put in the work. There's no shortcuts. There's no easy way. And it takes a long time. But the bare minimum, if you guys are part of the Coding After 30 team, club, whatever, even if you're not, number one, you should have a website and don't build this yourself. I bought a template. I got this template from React Bootstrap Made. Bootstrap made. Like, you could get it for free, guys. It's not rocket science. You could go here. This is the exact theme I'm using, guys, right there, right? Like, you need to buy a, I didn't even like, you know, change the favicon, whatever, right there on top. It still says Bootstrap, but you need to have a landing page which has some basic information about you. Even if you're not a developer yet, you need to set this up. Have about section, some basic contact information, talk about the skills. And by the way, if you're starting out, maybe these are not all the skills you have, but these are the skills you aspire to have. Write them down and do the work that is necessary to get here. Write a resume. By the way, this doesn't have to be your job. You could write the name of the project that you're working on and then write what you did in your project the same way, like write it exactly like the same way I wrote it for the job here. Like before having this type of resume, if before I learned about writing things this way, if I had a project that I built, I would put the date and time that it took me to build that project, and then I would write exactly the same way like I did here in my resume to talk about my project that I built. So it should look like, the fact that you built a project at home doesn't mean that you shouldn't count towards your experience. And you have your contact information. By the way, I don't have a portfolio here with this idea that I want to say, look, it's okay if you start a website like this, which is like, you know, mine is paulbosovsky.com and be yourname.com. Without a portfolio. And as you build this awesome portfolio, you could add projects in here for sure. But this is the, like, number one, part of step one. Number two, you need to have LinkedIn. LinkedIn, get with the times, guys. If you want to get hired, you want to like do stuff, you need to have LinkedIn, like, you know, and you got to be able to, you know, and if you could have a blog, like I have a blog, I've been really bad about it, but I'm going to do more. But here's the thing, like if you have a blog, like I have here, you could take, you know, your LinkedIn articles, right? I could literally go here. I could, you know, this is my blog. You guys could go check it out. It's codingafter30.com. But I could copy this link, right? And I could go to LinkedIn and I could write a post, you know, and share. I already did this, but I'm just showing you, and share like, oh, look, I'm building this thing. This is some of the things about, and you're putting it out there that you do develop. By the way, recruiters look at LinkedIn. If they see posts where you talk about code, you're solving problems, and you post it on LinkedIn, people are going to see, they're going to see your authority. So I'm not going to save this because I already posted a while ago. But the point that I'm trying to tell you guys, you need a resume website, paulbosovsky.com. You need LinkedIn. You should have a blog, right? Like you don't, you know, just so you could write about code, talk about like what you're doing. I'm going to do more stuff here, you know, because I want to keep building authority as a developer. And so you need to kind of put that extra work. And like, I'm going to come back to this in a second, why this is important, because I'm going to say this right now. Average is over. There's no such thing as an average developer. Get that out of your mind. There's no average. There's either somewhere people that don't get hired and then people that get hired. And you have to figure out what you need to do to get here. It's basically, it's the way it is. Life's not fair, but that's the truth. And that's kind of, don't waste time thinking about nonsense, but think about, okay, life's not fair. How could I make it, you know, without being fair? How could I get the job that I want? And it's just like, you got to put massive effort. You got to do like a lot of work. So number two, so number one, have your resume website with your name that people understand that you're trying to get involved. Number two, you got to have LinkedIn. LinkedIn, this is where people find you. This is where people connect with you. I have so many different people contacting me about jobs. Eventually, like it took me a while to get this authority, but you need to be able to do that, guys. And number three, you need to you need to have GitHub. And you know, look at my GitHub. Like, and I just want to be honest with you guys. Like, I started this GitHub in 2013. I was lazy, not doing anything. I could have been a developer in 2017, but I wasted lots of time by spinning my wheels and not really focusing on the most important things, jumping around from tech to tech and not picking one stack to work with and becoming like really good at it, good enough to be able to get a job. And that's why I eventually stopped doing all this other stuff and focused on JavaScript and React, because that's how I got a job. But look at this, 2013, nothing. 2014, still an idiot. 2015, still an idiot. 2016, nothing. Like 2017, still nothing, right? And so like I wasted 1, 2, 3, 4 freaking years. I could have been a developer in 2017. Jesus Christ, you need to get GitHub. You need to start studying. You need to be putting code on there. And a lot of this code, look, 2018, man, I started to put the metal to the pedal, or the pedal to the metal. I started to hustle. I started to do a little bit more work. And a lot of this stuff,
like stuff is broken because I was just starting out. A lot of it is just learning to code, but still put it in GitHub. 2019, look at that, putting more effort. Finally in 2020, this period here, I got my first job, right? I like around this, and then I got comfortable at my job here, and so I didn't worry about committing my own personal code. Once I got to July, I was like, you know what? I think I need to find another job. I started doing more projects, and now we're in 2021. Obviously, the year's not complete, so this is blank. But look at that, look at that, look at that, loving, I'm loving. And the reason, by the way, before you guys go ahead and dislike this, because like, oh, my GitHub doesn't look like that. My GitHub, I just showed you, didn't look like that for many years. Don't make the same mistake I made. Start today. Start building your authority. Start doing these things, because like, no one's gonna come and be like, oh, John, you're so amazing, you get this job. No. You gotta take it. You gotta go after things and grind them. I come on this YouTube channel, I talk to you guys. Number one is because I'm grinding this YouTube. Number two is because I made all the mistakes, and you don't have to listen to me. It's fine. It's fine. But I want some of you that do listen, and something clicks, and like, man, maybe this dude got a point. Don't try to learn everything. Find a niche, go with it, get hired. Maybe that's what we need to do. And so like, I just share my opinion. Now there's so many YouTubers online. You could listen and watch to whoever you want, whenever you want, right? It's a free country, but I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I'm 41 years old. I have more better things that I want to do than waste my time doing things that are not getting results. So let's take a look in the comments. And guys, let's add some stuff in the in the chats. I know I'm late to some of these, but that's okay. Is data science and machine learning harder to learn than it is that? Yeah, 100%. Data science and machine learning, 100% is hard to learn, and you need to know math. You 100% need to know math. I don't care what anybody tells you. You need math for data science, machine learning, statistics, like all this like stuff. And so if you're gonna say I want to learn data science and machine learning, just add I also want to learn math. Like, don't forget that part. I also want to learn math, because everybody that I know works in data science, they're all like good at math. They might not be like geniuses in math, but they're all good at math. So that's very important. Yeah, and yep, we took a look at this. Can you follow me on? Yep, yeah, bro. Just send us a link. Like I said before, you can send this in. Thank you for all your kind reply, bro. It's probably statistic basic level of other math related to data science enough. So like I said, I'm not a math dude, but I think that's a definitely great start. I'm just saying, if you like math, then data science and Python and machine learning makes sense to you. If you're kind of at math like me, like I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be much more useful in development stuff. And what happens a lot of times, there's a data scientist that figured out the hard thing, and they give me the thing to implement, but I myself don't have to build it from scratch myself. And so that's kind of important to do. And like, do I need to learn C# for web dev? For what is C# user? It really depends on the stack you want to go into. Like, you have to understand. Let's kind of do this, and I'll come back to this idea, day in life of web developer, what to expect, because this is another very important question. Let me pull up, most popular. I don't even know what they answered this. Dev stacks. Let's see what comes up. I'm gonna pull it up. It all depends which article you read, and a lot of them are like highly stacked with JavaScript. Like, some people, like, they're posting articles, they're like, oh, I love JavaScript, so I'm only gonna talk about JavaScript. Yeah, so this article, majority of it is, let's do something else. Let's look most popular languages on Stack Overflow. Most popular languages on Stack Overflow. Let's Google that. All right, dude, seriously, I don't even know. Let me most popular. I don't want popular. Let's do most in-demand programming languages 2021. Yeah, like so let's take a look here. Let's take a look here. And Jesus Christ, like, some of these, like, who writes these blogs sometimes? Like, sometimes I'm just looking at the results here. I'm like, who wrote this? It doesn't have all the things. So this one looks promising. So let's take a look here. Let me share this article here. All right. No, that's not it. I only got 9 viewers. Jesus Christ, you guys smash the like button so more people come in. Like, I don't care how many people view, you know, honestly. I want to just talk about giving you stuff that helps you get the job you want. 11 most in-demand programming languages in 2021. If you don't want to waste your time, if you're going to put the side time and energy needed to learn how to program, make sure without a doubt that you choose one of the in-demand languages on the market. And that right here is, by the way, how you should decide or what you should build. And before I talk about like should you learn C#, I'm going to get to that in a second. Number one is that you need to choose a language that's in demand. Language that's in demand is going to kind of, if you go to look for a job, there's going to be a job for you. So there's like, even like the most popular language is kind of misleading because I might like it as a developer, but doesn't mean that it's the most language in demand in terms of jobs available. So that's kind of what I search in demand and not popular. So let's take a look here. Let's see if I could make this smaller so it fits the screen nicer. No, I can't make it smaller, but okay, look, it has JavaScript, C#, Python, Java, you know, maybe like, that's the ones that I'm going to mention now. You can't go wrong with JavaScript, like doing React, maybe Angular. You can't go wrong with doing Python, especially if you're doing data science stuff. You can't go wrong with C#. And this is the thing here. If you're doing C#, you're going to be using ASP.NET technologies. So let me go ASP.NET here. And basically, if you're learning C#, you'll be working like strictly with ASP.NET and Microsoft technologies. So it's a path for you to take on. Is it the only path to get hired? No. Is it a good path? Yes, this is a good path. But in my case, I did not take this path, even though I learned C# eventually once I got hired. My path was building things with JavaScript. So to answer your question is, you know, you could get a job with JavaScript and JavaScript-based technologies like React, Node.js. And what I like about JavaScript, it's one language that allows you to do front-end and back-end with one language. Now with the addition of, like if you know, for me, it's perfect. I don't want to learn too many new things. And just doing everything in JavaScript allows me to master JavaScript as a language. Hate it or love it, doesn't matter. It's very good for me, and this is what I'm doing. I'm not learning. Like the only reason I would learn another language if someone is telling me to, like they're going to pay me money to learn it, basically. But coming back to C# and ASP.NET, like for instance, they wrote Blazor. Blazor is a way for them to write React-style applications using C#, right? And that's good. It's not going to take over JavaScript like a lot of people think. It just will allow people that know C#, really good at C#, to have a way to create applications similar to what React is in C#, using C#, because there's a C# developer. So that's fine. And what I'm telling you guys is like, if you learn C# and only stick to C#, ASP.NET, you will get a job. If you do React, JavaScript only, Node.js and all that stuff, you're going to get a job. If you do Python with Django and also do some machine learning stuff, you're going to get a job. If you do Java with whatever Java is, you're going to get a job. If you do PHP with Laravel, you're going to get a job. But don't jump around and waste your time. Pick one stack and go do that stack until you get hired. And that's what I would recommend and tell you guys to do. And that would be like a pro tip that you guys need to follow. And for machine learning, like again, and data science, I do not know, to be honest with you. If you like math, you could learn whatever it is. So if you have kind of predisposition to learning math, even though you might not have an education, like as long as you learn the math, that's the most important part. You'll be able to do it. For me, I'm just not a math guy, so like I can't really like give a good valid response. But if you're good at math and you like math, go for it, go for it, go for it. We got most popular language Stack Overflow, top bug generator. What do you mean about top bug generators? I'm not sure kind of what you mean by that. Most popular languages Stack Overflow, top bug generators. I guess I'm confused with what you're saying. Luke here, coding after 30, party. Yeah, I mean, seriously, that's what we do here on this channel. And if you're under 30, bro, you got nothing to worry about. You're going to get your goals. If you're over 30, like 41, 42, it's not saying you can't make the transition. If you're 45, 48, you can. just be prepared to put in the work. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard effort. So talking about, like, let's come back to the topic at hand, day in life of a software engineer, most important lessons I learned that I wish I knew. And the reason why I want to talk about it, and keep your questions coming, guys. Don't let me stop you, because I do, like, I come on these live streams to chat with you guys, to answer your questions, to help you guys out. So here's the thing, guys. I showed you the 3 things that you need to start with: LinkedIn, right? Your resume, portfolio site, your GitHub. If you don't have that, like, hang up right now, go do that, go set it up and share with us, like on Discord. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a coding after 30 checklist. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, and I'm going to send it to you guys. You guys could see if you have any of those things on your, excuse me, checklist, to kind of help you guys to stand out. Because Lucky, I think I can't send links. Lucky, join us on Discord. On Discord, you'll be able to send the link, or you didn't see it. Let me see. I think sometimes it might not let me send the link. You could also send me a link at my email, coding after 30 at gmail.com. Guys, if you have LinkedIn, hit me up on LinkedIn. If you got your GitHub, send me your GitHub link at codingafter30 at Gmail. If you have your resume website, like I showed you, or portfolio website, send me on codingafter30. Let's get this going. Let's keep building our authority. Let's keep building what we're doing. What languages do I regret doing? I don't think I'd regret doing any language except Ruby, but then now Shopify is so popular, even Ruby is like, and Rails, like Ruby, at least it's still good. Like, what I regret is not the languages. Like, what I regret the most is that I didn't pick one. I just jumped from one to another for like literally 4 or 5 years of wasted time. Like, that's the regret. The regret is not choosing one and continue with that one until I got hired. That's the biggest regret I had. And there's this girl, when she's ready, she'll come on, she'll talk to us. She started with me on our Slack, and she worked really hard. She listened to all my advice. She keeps trying to give me the credit, because she's like, Paul, your advice is what got me the job. But the truth is, it's her massive amount of work that she put on, and she was able to get hired as a React developer. She herself told me there's a lot of demand for it, and she broke into the field. And what was amazing for me is to see someone that I met through YouTube that found my channel, and then she listened to what I was talking about, this idea of, like, don't waste your time trying to learn everything. Focus. C#, stick with C#. Nothing wrong with C#. Okay, you're going to do JavaScript, stick with JavaScript. Don't do anything else. Just do all the way JavaScript. You're going to do PHP, do the PHP ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? But don't mix and match. And my biggest regret was jumping around so many times that I wasted years. But I personally now know people that started in our Slack, our Discord, and were able to get a job. But the caveat to that, they put massive amount of effort into learning, studying, building their portfolio. And creating with code, is it important to learn how to write tests? I don't really hear many people talk about it. How would you go about learning? So this is the thing, is that's something I don't do at my job right now. And the girl that just got hired, and you know her from Slack, I don't want to say her name yet, because I want her to come on and tell us, like, majority of her story. But I'm just going to say she got hired with a job where there's certain things that were not a requirement, like testing was not a requirement, TypeScript was not a requirement. But when she got to the office, they were using all that tech. And so the idea is that stuff is not required as long as you have basic understanding of programming. All that stuff you're going to learn on the job. So right now, unless it's a requirement for you, don't worry about learning, because there's already a lot of stuff to learn. And once you get hired, you could dive into testing. You could, like, unless you're particularly looking to get a job in QA writing tests, you know what I mean? But if you're a developer, you will learn it on the job. And so for me, like, I haven't done a lot of it. I'm just recently starting to learn more about it and dive into it. But at work, a lot of times we're doing manual testing, like clicking buttons, trying to, like, break the stuff, like, while playing with it. So at the moment, I wouldn't say it's not that important, especially if you don't have, like, bunch of portfolios that you build, and you are not getting people calling you back for interviews. Like, you want to get to a point where people are able to, oh my God, this question, I'm going to get to it in a second. But first, Say hologram nunchucks. Sup, Paul? How much time do you put into data structures on algos? Great question. Let me answer this one first before asking next Q question. So here's the deal, guys. Right now, I have a job, and I am not in the process of switching jobs. I got hired, so I'm gonna work here. So I'm only focusing on learning things that make me more productive at work. So I spent all my time working on learning things that allow me to become better developer at work because I'm not looking for interviews, right? Now, with that being said, before that, right, if you don't have a portfolio, you don't build like one big project or 2-3 little projects that are good enough to have recruiters start calling you back, there's no sense of you learning algorithms and data structures if you're not getting interviews. You know what I'm saying? So you need to get to a point where you're able to get interviews first. So this is what I recommend. I recommend people learn the language. Number 2, build your portfolio. Number 3, when you start interviewing, that's where I know, like, I already have the portfolio. I don't have to build one, right? So I have all this time now to focus on learning data structures, algorithms, prepping for interviews, reading the most, like right now, like I just like, if I were to go look for a job right now, or if I knew that I'm interviewing actively right now, majority of my tutorials, majority of the stuff would be data structures, algorithm, JavaScript, interview questions, React interview questions. I'll be spending 80% of my time, but you only do it once people are calling you back for interviews. That means you have a portfolio, you have the skill that at least is like shows enough to potential recruiters or hiring managers that you might be a good fit. And so once you start interviewing, that's when I start working on that stuff. And by the way, if you guys are looking for a great book as a beginner, man, I need to do some affiliate links. But here's a book called Algorithms. It's a great book for beginners because it's all like pictures for 5-year-olds. That's how you like start learning. It's all pictures, very easy to explain. My light is too bright so you can't see anything. Come on, camera. You can do it. Yeah, it's pictures after pictures, diagrams. So this is a good way for beginners. And again, don't waste your time buying this amazing book, Algorithms, by Adiata something, an illustrated guide for programmers and other curious people. But when you start interviewing, right, you already have a portfolio. And I keep saying, if your portfolio sucks, you got to make it better. Don't worry about this stuff. But once you're ready to interview, that's when you jump into the stuff. This is a great book to have. This is like my toilet reading, not to be disgusting. I sit on the toilet, I'm like, oh, algorithms. Oh, fantastic. But I didn't start doing algorithms, and I wouldn't recommend you start doing them until you already have a good portfolio of projects and you're getting interviews. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my advice to you, hologram nunchucks. I hope it makes sense. Hey, Paulie, how many hours do you work per week? Well, a lot. I work at my job 40 hours a week, but then when I don't work at my job, I'm actively studying and coding still to this, like at night. And so it's like, give you an idea, like think of your work, right? And most people will not like this answer. And I'm not saying you should do like what I do. I'm just paranoid that I'm going to get fired, so I need to keep working. You know what I'm saying? But I track my time using this thing called Waka Time, like some weird app. It tracks your time you spend on an editor. Think of your work week. You show up to work, you have your bathroom breaks, you have your meetings, you have whatever, and that's your 40 hours. For me, I spent about 40 hours literally in the code editor itself, not counting meetings, not counting all this other stuff. And that's kind of like what we have to do. Like, I'm not saying you have to go extreme, and a lot of it time is me working at work, but another big part of it, like 30% of it, is coding at home. And that's why I keep telling you guys, you need to be building things from scratch. And this comes to this idea of like day in life of a software engineer. So let me kind of talk about that. Let me get comfortable. Let me get a sip of my coffee. And if you guys have a special like button, not for me, but for yourselves. If you really like the community, smash the like button. And we're going to get into this like day in life of a software engineer, most important lesson I learned. And again, there's no point of talking about day in life like a motivational video, because if you don't have a job, what do you need the motivation for? What do you need to be motivated? You don't have a job. Like, don't worry about day in life of a software engineer, right? But I'm talking about in the context of this idea of like what do I do and what lessons can we learn from it to help you guys out? So here's the big lesson right here. If you can't build stuff from scratch, you're going to hate your job. You're going to hate your job because you won't know what to do. And that's why I keep going more and more on this griping over and over and over again. You need to practice building stuff from scratch. You need to build stuff from scratch. You need to build stuff from scratch. You need to build stuff from scratch. I don't know how to build stuff from scratch. No. You start by building stuff from scratch, and that's how you learn to build stuff from scratch. So number one, and this is something that I wish I learned earlier because I believe I spent a lot, like too much time doing tutorials than practicing, and that's wasted like a year of my life. You don't like you could take 4 good tutorials on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, whatever, Node.js or whatever you want, and that's it. And then just build, read documentations. And that's the most important lesson. And I'm going to say this again. If you cannot build something from scratch, and I'm not saying build it from scratch without using Google or Stack Overflow. You can't use Google. You can't look stuff up. I don't remember everything. But you need to know where to start and how to go think through the process of building something. And if you can't do that, your first day on the job is going to suck. And when I say that to you guys, that's why I started the Tuesday night project party time stream, because I want to make sure that we're constantly building stuff from scratch, and I want to lead by example and show you that you should be building stuff from scratch, not from tutorials, from scratch. Okay, guys, look, I'm passionate about this because I want you guys to understand that I care about you guys. I care about you getting a good job. I care about you making progress. I care about you becoming great web developers, and I'm never gonna tell you things that are not going to help you to kind of at least realistically think about what to expect. And so at my job right now, right where I am today, I show up, right? And they give me like, Paul, we need you to build out this UI. I'm like, great, let's build out this UI. And then they're like, okay, for this UI, here's your mock-up data. So they'll give me a data structure. It'll be like a JSON format of all the data that the UI has to be able to consume. And so number one, I have to know enough HTML and CSS, right, to be able to build that UI from scratch based on the mockup that they gave me. Number two, I have to take that mockup data that they gave me, and right now, because it's just front-end application that's not pulling anything from the back end, I need to be able to use that mockup data to go as far as I can to show a functional UI with that test data that it has. So if you don't know how to build that from scratch, how are you going to do your job? That's like the most simplest example, and that's what a lot of you guys are going to do, is building stuff from scratch based on what a mockup you have and this idea of mock data. Number two, you need to be able to know how to take that HTML and CSS and write it with React, or Angular or Vue, whatever it is. For me, it's React. And if you can't do that, then from scratch, again, you can't be effective at your job, right? Because this is what I do right now. This is literally what people tell me to do, right? So if you can't write in React, okay. Number three, if you don't understand how to get data from a database using either Fetch, using Axios, or using something like Apollo if you're using GraphQL, and you don't know, Apollo GraphQL, maybe not a requirement for junior dev stuff, but it's something that I'm using at my job. If you can't consume that data and understand how to get that asynchronous data with either using async await or using promises, and you can't display it to the page, you can't do your job. If you have forms on the website where you need to be able to make post requests, delete requests, update requests, if you don't know how to do that from the front end standpoint with JavaScript, you can't do your job. So the point where I'm getting this, none of these things you're going to learn unless you practice them with building stuff from scratch. And I keep saying this to you guys because when I first got my job, that was the expectation of me. And then my second job, right, that was also the same expectation for me. So don't think that if you are like, oh, I did a bunch of tutorials, but I don't know how to build anything from scratch, you're not going to get a job. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't hate the messenger. I know I just saw a bunch of people left because they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear about the fact that you need to build stuff from scratch. So that's what I'm going to tell you guys. And hold on a second. I'll come back to that. Hologram, nunchucks. I realize there's a bunch of other stuff here. Okay. Okay, you think I should build React project with class-based components to show that I can work with older code, or just stick to functional components right away? Honestly, you're only going to work with class-based components if you're working on old code. I had to give an example, like learn how to, like this is what I'd say, build a React project with functional components, understanding all the hooks that it comes with, being able to write your own hooks, understanding how to work with Context API. Once you build that, then you could go and just review how to write, you know, regular class-based components, and you could refactor one component to be class-based component, but there's no reason for you to do that at this point, because right now all the newer code is written with functional components. So my job, every time I found a class-based component, like I would go and refactor it to be a functional component. And so right now I would say stay with functional, and only if it becomes a requirement, go ahead. And once you know React, learning, and then you understand classes in JavaScript, it's not going to be that difficult. You know, you will have to kind of get used to using this keyword inside the class, but that's something you're going to learn. And right now it's not a requirement for JavaScript jobs, and that's something you could learn after the fact anyway. So right now I recommend do functional components for everything, And let's see here. You think I should build React projects with Reda? And I don't think it's about the motivation. It's about whether or not you like the today's schedule. And you know what? Like, I get it, Brian. Like, but how many of those videos do you have to see? You know what I mean? Like I don't care. Like, I like coding so much that I don't really care about what I'm going to do at my day-to-day job. As long as coding, I'm happy. So I guess, like, if you like coding, then it's irrelevant. But if you're not sure, you're still trying to figure out, yes, okay, watch day in lives and developer. I could, like, as long as I get to code. And I guess, like, you know, that's where, like, I make the assumption that anybody's going to like to code because I like to code. But the truth is, if you don't like it, this career is going to be really hard for you. But if you like coding, day in life of a developer, if you like coding and you get to do coding, what's more for you to ask? But in terms of, especially if you're learning, trying to break into the field, like, I'm assuming that you already know that you're going to like it. You know what I'm saying? So yes, if you don't know if you're going to like it, figure that out first before diving into it. So that's actually a great point, Brian. Thanks for making that up. Making that up. You didn't make that up. You brought that up to our attention. Jesus Christ. Hologram Metrics, do you use CSS libraries with React? This is a great question. Right now, I worked my first job, right? My first job. It was like not a big company. It was a big, huge project. We had probably 20 developers. We were using Material UI with React. So it's a CSS library specifically for React. Now at my current role, I'm using React Bootstrapped, which is basically React components based on Bootstrap. And, you know, because it's a smaller team, and in a majority, a lot of companies, you are going to be using some sort of framework. So what I would say, learn Bootstrap, be familiar with it. You don't have to master, just understand how it works. Learn Material UI if you're working with React, because it's common that you're going to be using that. And then those are the two big ones I would recommend. And of course, be familiar with how to use Sass and stuff like that. We're getting a bunch of emojis here. I love it. That's probably regarding to the fact dropping the truth bombs all over the wait, we have to work hard. I didn't sign up for all that. I know. It's funny, DJ Noise, but I think what happens, it's not that people don't want to work hard. People want to work hard. I think a lot of us underestimate what that hard work is. I think a lot of it, like, oh, we're going to work hard. I get it. Yeah, party for work hard. Woo! And then you're like, I'm doing work hard and nothing happening. Yeah, because you got to do more work. You got to work harder. And to add to that, you got to work smarter, right? Pick a path. Is it C# ASP.NET? Is it JavaScript and React? Pick one path and be the best that you could be. You know what I'm saying? And you need to have a path. That's the whole point of this. So YouTube is like to kind of let you guys know about these things. You need to have a plan. You need to have a system that you follow daily to reach your goals. You can't just show up without a plan, right? I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it, but it would, my mind is stupid. It's like, you can't show up somewhere without protection and expect to get game going on. You know, I'm paraphrasing because I had a way better way of saying that. But what I'm saying, you have to have a plan. If you don't plan for something to happen, how is it going to happen? You know what I'm saying? So Q, what language or website should I start with if I know coding is right for me? So what I would say, and this is obviously biased, super biased by Paul here, React and JavaScript. So what I would say, if you and it's kind of like what we did in our, and I'm sure you saw me show it before, I could show it again, but like you should build, you know, at least one HTML and CSS website only, right? Netlify. Let me go to our Netlify, sign in here. Log in. So you should build, I'm just going to bring it on the screen so we could see it, but you should build at least one HTML and CSS website where you just use pure HTML and CSS, right? And this is something I built like a while ago, and this was a simple page here. Share your screen share. Yeah, so build a basic HTML and CSS website. Make sure it's responsive. So if I decide to shrink the browser here, the command browser shrink, goddamn it, shrink. Heard that before. Come on, browser, you can do it. Oh shoot, I made it. It's super huge. What's happening? What's happened to my browser? I broke it. Well, give me a moment, guys. Give me a moment. I'll fix my browser here again. Oh shoot. Oh no. Oh no, what is happening? Browser shrink. Hold on, guys. Technical difficulties. Okay, okay, yeah, here we go. It's still broken, but you should be able to shrink. You see how it's responsive. Basically, I gotta fix that. That's not good. That's not pretty. I think it's because I'm too zoomed in. Yes, my zooming in broke. I need to be at 100%. So you want to make at least one website which is responsive HTML and CSS website. You want to do that as your first step. Step 2, what you want to do is to create something where you add some basic JavaScript functionality to your website. Once you could do that, the next step would be just moving on to learning React and building a project with React and JavaScript. And then once you build a simple React and JavaScript project, you're ready to build or start building your big cornerstone project, which will be more complex. And it's the project that most developers are going to look to kind of base their decision on, being like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing, let's hire him. So that's what I would say. I hope that was a good enough answer. But I would start say, if you already know HTML, CSS, start doing JavaScript and add some function. If you already know JavaScript, start doing with React. If you already know React, start building more complex portfolio projects. Brian, I'm trying to implement the things I'm learning in tutorials to make a new webpage for my band. And that's a good way to do it, is to solve a problem. Like you have a band, they need a website, go ahead and build something yourself. And you know what, school, you could use JavaScript, or like I'm not sure if you're using it with React yet, but if you use just HTML, CSS, and React, I'm sorry, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you could implement some sort of thing with JavaScript where you have a dynamic section in that website that shows when your band is playing next. And I think it's kind of cool that you have a real problem to solve. But coming back to this idea of you know, day in life of a software engineer, I also like pulled a random article. Let's take a look at it first and give 2 cents here based on my experience. Okay. Okay, so let me share. And again, this is like some random article, but I just wanted to kind of see what they say, and then I'll give you my 2 cents of what I think, or give you like the idea here. So a typical day in life of a software engineer. Okay. Aspiring to become a software engineer, wonder what goes in a typical day of a software engineer. Let's start first with what is software engineering. Okay, let's just assume that we know what software engineering is. Okay, we should all know it. Okay, core skills required to become a successful software engineer. Becoming a successful software engineer is not just about getting a degree from IT or being self-taught. Like that, man, this article already is one of those guys. You need to have expertise in one or more programming language. What I would say, you need to be competent in JavaScript or React, if that's what you're doing, or competent in C# and ASP.NET, not both. Pick one stack. Knowledge of information technology and computer system. I would just say this means just understand how basically computers work, how web browser works, like the basics. Here's the key here. This is very important here. Problem solving and logical thinking. And this is something that, like, being like working now for a while, this is something that is very important. Problem solving, logical thinking. You definitely, that's the whole point of practicing algorithm data structures, but you don't have to go that hardcore. Go on like I'll tell you how you should think about it. You need to make sure that you're practicing things that allow you to engage yourself in a problem-solving manner. So this could be when you're starting out, if you saw like a component, you're like, how do I build it? And you try to build it from scratch yourself. And then you do research, try to figure out, and you should logically think through the process. And when I say logically thinking, I don't mean like going to code editor and code it out, because you're missing like the most important step, which is planning. So what you need to be, you have to be like, identify a problem. Number two, write out what steps you need to do to solve that problem on a piece of paper. And that's your algorithm. That's the steps that you need to know. And once you wrote down the steps that you need to know to solve that problem on paper, then start implementing with code and to see if it works. And then if you have to like tweak things or like, but that's what you have to do. You have to like, it's in a nutshell how you solve problems, that you have to first know the problem, break it into the smallest things, write out the steps on a piece of paper, and then finally implement it in code. And then you have to be able to logically think about, like, for instance, like if for thing C to happen, you need to make sure that A, B happens first. You need to be aware of that, and you have to kind of understand how the logic of the code will flow through it. And if this sounds like, oh no, I'm not good at this, go to Code Wars and start solving Code Wars problems, because that's something that's gonna allow you to start thinking like a programmer. There's a great book that I have. It's on my Kindle. I don't have my Kindle here, and I didn't buy it yet. Did I buy it? So no, I didn't buy the regular book of it yet. I'll get the regular one so I could show it to you guys next time. But thinking, I think it's called like Thinking Like a Software Engineer, Thinking Like a Programmer. Code Wars. Code Wars, though, is a good place for you guys. It's not as crazy as Lead Code and like whatever, but you guys could go to Code Wars, and this is not the website. I mean, it's the website, but I'm already signed in, so this is the screen you have. But it allows you to like let me see here. So we go to katas, right? Oh my God, Paul, what's happening? You can't use the mouse. And they have different levels, like kata 7. I think the easiest one is 8. Yeah, so you could start by difficulty 8, and 7, 6, 5, and then just start going here and practicing. They have different languages. Like for instance, let's see, Thinkful string drills repeater. I don't even know what that's asking for, but let's click on it for fun. In JavaScript, right? It has different languages. And it'll basically say, write a function named repeater that takes 2 arguments, a string and a number, and returns a new string where the input string are repeated that many times. And then you basically have to like figure out how to solve this stuff. And then they show you, it's like, hey, if we give you A, we want to write A. If we give you an A, we want to give you, like, we want it to repeat 5 times. If we give you whoop, 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 we want to repeat it 6 times. So you could start writing here, but so like, what do we need to do here? You know, we're going to have a string. So we want to return a string, and you could like, let me, const string, and then you start writing here. So like, look, I'm trying to code, but I don't know what like I need to do. So here's the thing: you have a problem, and this is like easier an example, but it says, you know, we want to write a function name that takes 2 arguments, a string, a number, and returns a new. So what do I have to know? I have to know how to get, how to multiply and concat strings, right? I need to know that. And if you like, and this is like when you're solving problems, for instance, let's like say here, right? And let's say you don't know how to do this, and you could literally like, but what I'm saying then, return string, whatever, it's like pseudocode, the steps that we need to take. So if like, I don't know, now I could like, I know that this is something that I need to know. Let's say I don't know how to do that. I could go into trusty Google, and I could see like Google, and then I'm like, how do you multiply and concat strings? Let's be more specific, JavaScript. And maybe you don't know how to do it, but at least you knew enough that this is something you have to do. And then you could kind of take a look here. How to multiply strings is many times in JavaScript. Let multiply by 3 string, what is hand, and then using the string repeat method, use for loop, using for while loop. And so it shows you kind of different ways. Number one, you could use string repeat. That makes it much easier. Wow, like that's see, I didn't even know string repeat method existed. So what's cool about this, that's one way of doing it. Then we could use then later they talk about using a for loop, using that. I was gonna go like this way. Basically, I was gonna go for loop, loop through the strings, and then concat the string. You could also do it with you know, while loop. You could also do it with while loop and for loop, or for each loop. Actually, for each doesn't make sense in our case right now. So we could go here, and then you start solving your problems. But see, I wrote it in pseudocode, and it helped me kind of figure out the solution. So I've never used repeat, but let's see this. Let's see if it works. So we know we could use string repeat method. I think that's how they started it. And you pass the number, and that should return a string that repeats. Let's take a look at code and see what I'm saying. When you start solving these problems, you start to logically think about stuff. You start to, do your research. It's a small L. R, it's a small R. And then what we could do is we could kind of, run, test, see what happens. Look, we passed the test, so that works. So that's a good method, right? You could also use for loop, where you loop through number of times and you concat the string to a string. And so, and this is how you start. And I'm showing you this, like, let's say you don't know what you're doing. This is kind of, you go about like learning this stuff, and eventually you do enough of these challenges, you're gonna know how to solve them. I know we had the for loop method, and instead of writing it down, I'm gonna kind of console log. So what we're doing here is we have the original string, and then we have a string that we're gonna concat into, and so we get the number of times, and we basically do for loop number of times, and each time we concatenate that string into our string here, and that's the string that we return. And I know this is going to work, so I'm just going to copy and paste to show you by example here. So let's go back, and this is how you develop like your ability to logically think through stuff, is work through code wars. And this is obviously an easy one, but I just wanted to start with an easy one. So like number one, I could show you an easy implementation of a solution, and number two, like, I don't embarrass myself. Let's be honest. And so multi-string is what we want to return. Multi-string. But this is what I'm saying. You need to be able to solve these issues yourself. I'm going to come back to this idea, like day in life of a software engineer. Like, you actually need to know how to figure out logically how to work through stuff. And I'm going to come back to a more concrete example from work. But first, let's see if this works. Let's do test. And it should work, because what we're doing, oh wait, we need to pass n. No, n is this. And number of strings is number of strings. Number of times is n. And then we want to go string is here. So we're getting our string, and we're going to, from our argument, and we're going to concatenate it. And so this should work. Let's test. And bam, it works. And then you do a temp, and then an attempt. Look, it's great. And basically everything passed. So let's submit. And what's cool about Code Wars, let me zoom out here. What's cool about Code Wars, it will show you couple of best solutions. So we saw this one where they use repeat. I like the repeat because it's kind of a nice method to know with strings. And I learned about it today by having this question, because originally I was going to do a for each loop. And you might have a question, answer this question without using repeat. So then you're forced to use for each. Somebody used the while loop, perfectly fine. We ended up using for each loop. And that's what you do. And you start with the easier problems and you keep working. And so this is a great way for you guys to work on being able to think logically through problems. And, kind of going back to the article, that's kind of very most important stuff. So, and let me go screen share here. And so problem solving, logical thinking, you develop with Code Wars. Eventually, as you get better, lead code will be more appropriate. and it doesn't have to be code wars. It could be like, how do you create a, like problem solving, logical thinking could also be, talking to either create a page with React that has, that displays a blog post that you're like, when you click on the blog post, it'll take you to a detailed page. That could be another problem challenge that you have to solve, and stuff like that. And so thinking about solutions is very important. And the reason why this is a requirement, and so we talked about, you need to have expertise in one programming language or more. They're just asking for more now. Like, one is good. If you're going to do React and JavaScript, stick to that. If you're going to do C# and ASP.NET, stick to that, like I discussed before. Knowledge of basic computer like functionality, how the browser work. This is probably the most important. The ability to solve projects, logic through logical thinking. And this is why I tell you, if you're not building something from scratch, you'll never be able to get a job. And if you do get a job, your first day, your second day is going to be very hard, because at my job, I'll give you an example. So we have a list of events, right? And those events, they have a duration, like from June 1st to June 10th, from June 11th to June 15th, right? And what they said to me, what we want you to do for a given period of time, we want to calculate a total of all those events. Now, if the events are not overlapping, it's easy. You just loop through the array of the events, right? And then you add the difference between start date and end date. So you find the duration and you add the duration for each event, and you're going to get the total of time that it took for all those events to complete. And that's very easy. But in my situation, they don't have these nicely start to ending events. They have overlapping events. For instance, we might have an event from July 1st to July 7th, and then there's an event from July 5th to July 10th. So they want to know total number of days between those two events. There could be many events. And so now not only do you have to take into consideration the duration of the event, you also have to have a mechanism of how do you calculate the difference, in duration between overlapping events. I don't know how to do that yet, but you need to be able to use your problem solving logical thinking to ask, well, what do you need? You need to have event, you need to know the duration, then you have to write, and this is something that I would write on in pseudocode on my paper, right? Okay, we have the duration, then we have to figure out how to loop through all the events and be able to tell which events are overlapping, and then based on those overlapping events, be able to calculate the duration for total events. And you need to know how to do this. This is something that it's my job to figure out at work, right? That I can't ask my boss, hey, how do you do this? And that's why I'm telling you, this is super, super important thing. So let me come back here. Let's take a look. Anybody, I'm still a bit confused today. So I'll ask, I'm trying to implement the things I'm learning. Okay, so let me just say, hey, Tech Rally, what's going on? We got to have you come back in the stream soon. If you want to jump in now, say hello, you can. But no, anytime you're welcome. Come back to stream. Love you, man. Hologram Nunchucks is also a fan. We love Tech Rally here. Tech Rally is cool. Recently, I leveled up to 60, getting roughed up by the harder challenges right now. Well, dude, that's amazing. And I think like once you get to 6, like you're doing really good. And they should be challenging. They should be like difficult, because that's what's going to be engaging your brain and growing your brain to make stuff happen. So Lucky, I'm a little bit confused today. When should I store data to local storage and when to database, for example, Firestore? And also like, you're probably going to do both. For instance, you might have data that you're pulling from Firestore. And by the way, I wouldn't use Firestore if you're looking to get hired right now. I would practice trying to figure out how to use an SQL database, because there's not that many jobs where they're going to require you to have like database being Firestore, right? A lot of people use like SQL, PostgreSQL. All the jobs that I had, they're all been using SQL type of databases. And I know like next one that I'm familiar with is MongoDB. And if you're starting out and looking to get a job, start with PostgreSQL. And then number 2, do MongoDB. Do not learn Firebase until you get a job and you have a reason to learn Firebase. I stopped learning Firebase because I realized I was wasting a lot of time. and there were no jobs that I was applying where Firebase was a requirement. Everybody had SQL, everybody had Postgres. And if you look at my resume, I don't even list Firebase, even though I've done some projects. So don't learn Firebase. But when it comes to, it's knowing like what local storage does and what, you know, your Firebase does. So for instance, if you have the data in Firestore, like when you reload your browser, you might have an event that fires, which refetches the data from the database. So that's fine, right? But you might be working on a form before someone submits the data to your Firestore database, as an example, and people are able to add their name, able to add their information. But if they hit refresh, that data is going to disappear, right? Let me put back this question back again. That data will disappear because you refresh your browser. So what you could do, you could store that form data in local storage. So if you refresh your browser, that data will be repopulated through local storage, so the form is not lost. So it makes a better user experience and stuff like that. So what I would do though is you could look up stuff like Google local storage versus, you know, local, like I wouldn't even go database, but do like local storage versus local state in React and see what articles you get, and it'll start to give you some ideas of times when to use local storage. So Jordan Lee, does not having any type of degree hold you back if I want to be a front-end engineer? The truth is, degree does help. If you have a degree, you're definitely better than someone who does not have a degree. So with that being said, it's a plus, but I got a job without a degree. I know somebody else who got a job without a degree. So it's possible. The issue is when you don't have a degree, you need to make sure that your portfolio, it's not like what everybody else is building. You try to build the best portfolio you can, and that's kind of the reason why I started our Tuesday party project stream on Tuesday, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, where I talk about this idea of building a cornerstone project that's so good that when developers see it, they're like, okay, if you want to hire this guy or if you want to hire this girl. So not having a college degree is not going to hold you back at all, but it not going to be as easy if you had the degree. And some people will argue with me. Believe me, if I could go back and get a computer science degree, I would. So if you're like 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, 26, and you are able to go back to school, get a computer science degree, go for it, because it's only going to help you. But if you're older and now it's like, it's a tough ask, should I go back to college or not? I chose not to. So it's still possible, but don't underestimate the power of a degree. And in some countries, degree is a must. Like in France, like someone's telling me that unless you have a degree, you're not getting a job. So let's come back, talk about some of the things, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, anyway, like we talk about a typical day in life of a software engineer. And what I want to talk, and if you just joined this live stream, you could always rewatch this again. But the point is for you guys, if I were to give you one takeaway, number one, when you're learning to code, pick one stack and stay with that stack until you get a job. So if you're going to do C# or ASP.NET, only do that. If you're going to do JavaScript and React like I did, only do that. And that's it until you get hired. Number two, if you're still doing tutorials, stop. Stop doing tutorials. Start coding from scratch. If you're not coding from scratch, just like I explained some of the things like from my day in life of a software engineer, like what I do, if you don't know how to do things from scratch, your job is gonna be really tough and you're probably not gonna last long. And that's what I'm telling you. Start building stuff from scratch. The earlier the better, and continue building stuff from scratch. Like you don't need 10, 20 tutorials. Take 4 courses, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, or whatever the programming language you're using. And as soon as you're done, start learning through building stuff from scratch, reading the documentation, and doing stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you need to be able to build that thing. Like I said, from some of the examples of my job, I have to build that stuff from scratch. Somebody else that I know that just got hired, they were told to fix something and they had to figure out how to fix it themselves. And that skill doesn't come from doing tutorials. Tutorials teaches you the basics of the language, but it doesn't teach you how to be productive with that language. To be productive with that language, you need to build stuff from scratch. And those would be like the number 2 advice. Number 1, have a stack that you're working on, JavaScript, React, or C#, ASP.NET, or Python and Django, or PHP and Laravel, but don't switch in between them. Once you find the thing, keep doing it until you get a job with it. And number 2, the sooner you could start building from scratch and build more stuff from scratch. Everybody should have an active GitHub. All of you guys should be building little components that you could use in your bigger applications like all the time from scratch. I can't stress that enough. And like I give this advice so many times, and people still like ask me, what should I do? Like that's what you should do, build stuff from scratch. If you can't do the work, let's say you know, I'm like a mechanic, but I'm not. I lied to you. I said I'm a mechanic. And then you bring me your car and like, Paul, change your transmission, and I can't do it. Then I'm not a mechanic. Same thing. If you're a developer and someone tells you, write me this code, and you can't do it, you're not a developer. You're learning to become a developer. And that was the biggest mistake that I made, was the fact that I spent way too much in tutorial hell. I wasted years. I could have had a job way before that. And you know, now like I keep telling people, don't waste your time in tutorial hell. Start building right away. Build stuff, build stuff, build stuff. Because every time you build something, you can't build something shittier, pardon my French, than the thing that you built before. You're always going to make improvements. And over time, you're going to be building more complex, better projects. And eventually, you're going to have the knowledge that it takes to get hired. And by building stuff from scratch, what your most important part, you're focusing on this problem-solving aspect of development, because you'll be put in situations where you don't have the solution, you don't know what that solution is. So that's going to basically teach you how to handle a situation when you don't know the solution, how to apply logic to it and problem solve and figure out the solution, and then how to implement it and write it in code. And if you're not building stuff from scratch, you're just not practicing that most important skill. And that's what you have to do. I know that a lot of us are not going to get jobs as software developers. Like let's talk truth. So here's the thing, like there's Udemy online learning is a huge market, right? And most of the courses are geared to beginner, because statistically everybody knows that out of like 100 people that are on Udemy, only like 0.1% of that 100 is actually going to apply what they did and get a job. 99% of people are not going to get hired. A lot of people are not going to get a job, but there's a lot of beginners that are trying to learn. So a lot of these courses are made for beginners, because and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not the person's fault who made the course. It's just the reality of how people consume these courses. 99% of people, let's be nicer, let's say 80% of those people are not going to implement what they learned. They're not going to build from scratch. They're not going to get a job, right? And like my channel, I'm not selling courses. And if I do sell courses, I'm still going to tell you 80% of you guys are not going to finish, 80% of you not going to put the effort to get the job, 80% of you, and that's fine, right? And so this is what I'm telling you guys, is that you guys have to understand that the way you become a developer is by building stuff from scratch. And the reason why I talk about this more than anything else, rather than talk about tutorials, is because like I don't gain anything from selling you tutorials, and I myself don't have tutorials. If you want to find some good tutorials, if you do John Smigla's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React project courses, you'll have more than enough skill to be able to build stuff from scratch. Like obviously you got to practice that, but you don't need to take more courses. Like you could easily like get a job. I know somebody who literally followed those classes and they were able to build a bunch of stuff from scratch to get a job. So it's not the number of tutorials you take, it's the fact that you apply what you learn through trial and error, building things from scratch yourself. And like that's what you got to do. Like I can't, like I'm giving you this advice because that's like how you lose weight. Stop eating ice cream. How do you become developed? Build stuff from scratch. Like, but people don't like these easy or simplify. Like it's much harder to do, right, than for me to say, but it's still the true advice that people should be taking. And so everybody who watches my YouTube channel, I want you guys to be not the 80% of people that spend more time on YouTube than coding. They talk about what they're going to do instead of doing the things that they need to do. And if you aren't that 80% and you're watching my channel, I want you to change your mindset to become the 20% of people, like the few, the proud people that are actually going to follow the advice, going to start building things from scratch, going to start suffering. And through suffering, through problem solving, you're going to develop your problem solving chops that will allow you to do well in a work environment. And that is just a fact. And please, let me know in the comments, like if I'm wrong. Let me know how wrong I am. I'd love to have a discussion about it. And if you do have any additional questions, or you think I'm completely complete lunatic and crazy, smash the like button. If you think I'm nuts and out of my mind, and if you just like the community that we have here, smash the like button for you guys. And again, I don't need to make these lives, but like I'd like to talk to you guys. I really like the community. We also have Slack. If you guys want to join us on Slack, you guys could do so. And the point why I do this stuff is because I know, like in my life, switching careers to becoming web developer made a huge difference. Like, because number one, I'm able to work remotely. I could work from home. Now it doesn't matter where I live, right? Also, it's an in-demand skill where the demand is still really high, and you're able within 2-3 years to get to a point where you're making significant amount of money. You know, people say money is not important, but money is important. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be able to live comfortably where you're not worrying about your bills. You know, you don't want to constantly feel like you're in debt and you can't save money because you make below what you're able to support yourself on. By the way, if you're making enough money but you're spending it all, shame on you. You know, but that's a whole different conversation. But from the standpoint, like, becoming a developer changed my life, and it's not for everybody, but if it's for you, it's going to change your life for the best. And so for me, like, it wasn't a question if I would ever quit. No, like, I started so long ago and I just failed miserably for many years until I stopped, until I succeeded, until I got my job. And it's like you miss every shot that you don't take. So take the shot, keep taking it until you score that goal, until you get that job. And the thing I was talking to somebody about, learning to code, if you're gung-ho about it, you're learning to code, you're putting the effort, and it's hard at the beginning. It took me 2-3 years to get just the basics down. And hey, if you don't want to wait 2-3 years, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully it'll take you sooner. Maybe you're smarter than I am. But at the end of the day, it's still worth it for me, because you could be in McDonald's for 2-3 years and you're still going to be at McDonald's. You could be a crappy developer 2-3 years from now. You're going to be a better developer. You know what I'm saying? And so you're able to grow. You're able to scale. And, you know, there are other benefits of, you know, and the fact that it's in demand, that being a developer is a high-end marketable skill. And so for me, it's a no-brainer. And so if people say it's hard, I'm like, yeah, but the benefit is way better. Or it's going to take me 2 years, where you're going to waste 2 years of your life anyway. So might as well do something that bring you closer to your goal. Oh, but then you constantly have to learn stuff. Well, don't be an idiot. You know, like obviously you don't want to be the type of person that is comfortable, you know, living a life working at McDonald's and not growing mentally, emotionally, and, you know, educationally, right? You gotta study, like, you know, it's good for your soul. You know what I mean? So any excuse that people tell me why, you know, development sucks, unless they don't like it, like, I'm gonna tell, but it doesn't, because whatever time I spent on it, I am investing in my education, I'm investing in my ability to get a higher paying job. Like, I went from making, as a developer, $13.75 an hour to making $40 an hour. You know what I mean? That's huge. How many, like, of you guys make $40 an hour? And I'm not saying it to toot my horn. I'm saying it because it's like happened to me. And I'm a regular person. I showed you all my details. I showed you how I waste a lot of time learning to code. And I'm not that smart. You know what I mean? I'm just very thick-headed. And my perseverance is high. And so let's look at the question. Jordan Lee, where's the best place to apply for jobs after bootcamp? By the way, bootcamp, should you go to one or not go to one? Should you go self-taught? I don't know the answer to that question, like, which I could generally give you. I would have to talk to you, learn more about where you are, how much you coded on your own to tell you if bootcamp is even right for you. But let's say you already are in bootcamp. If you're in bootcamp, and especially like most bootcamps, they have basically recruiters that they work for. So your bootcamp will actually set you up where to start looking for a job, because they actually have arrangements made with recruiters or organizations around that bootcamp to help you hire. So that's one benefit of bootcamp, is that they help you to do job placement. So after like I didn't go to bootcamp, so I had to find a job myself, but I know a couple of people that are going to bootcamp. I have a friend, she's going to bootcamp for QA, quality assurance and code testing, and her boot camp will hook him up with a internship, and then from that internship they're going to help him find a uh, a permanent position, and that's something bootcamp do. I know Coder Foundry, which is a C# and ASP.NET bootcamp, they have their own recruiters that they work for, and they help others basically get jobs. So your bootcamp, especially if it's a good bootcamp, will have a mechanism for you guys to be able to get a job. So guys, if you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button. If you guys here, what I want to do now is I want to open up to conversations for you guys. I know I've been talking for a while. So any questions you guys have, there's no stupid questions. Any opinion like about me, about life, about like coding in general, let's talk about it. Don't be shy. Like, you guys are what make this community. So let's ask some questions. Let me know what you guys thinking. But in terms of, you know, getting a job as a web developer, software engineer, it's definitely still a good gig. It's still in demand. There's still lots of jobs. There's more jobs starting, and there's always going to be growing demand. You just have to understand, when people say there's no junior JavaScript developer roles, is because they're underestimating what a junior developer is and what they should be able to do, because there's plenty of jobs. You just have to get to a point where the type of portfolio you made is the same type of portfolio that hiring managers are looking for, and you have to be able to demonstrate the skill. And that's why I tell you, if you start building stuff from scratch, the better you guys are going to get. And again, I keep saying, you know, I see there's a bunch of you guys in the chat, so go ahead, ask some questions, because like, I don't want to just talk about my 2 cents. I want to be able to give you, you know, answers to the questions that may be holding you back from achieving your dreams, getting your goal. But you know, like, I started as an MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor. It's such a different career choice, right? And I just want to throw that out there, because I want to say it doesn't matter where you're coming from in your life. If you're dedicated to switch careers, and kind of, because I'm older, and if you're younger and you know this is what you want to do, definitely don't give up. But if you're older and you look to switch careers, it's possible. And it takes work. And don't feel like I went from a career, like I might as well have been like a sushi chef. Like, what does jujitsu have to do, or, you know, coding have to do, like, with coding, you know what I mean? And so I put in my work, I put in my hustle, and there's a lot of people in my family that never believed in the fact that I would be able to achieve it. And they were like, oh, you're not made for it, you need a college degree, you need A, B, and C, like, what are you doing? I just did not listen to naysayers. I kept moving forward. I kept working hard and made sure that, like, I just have my own plan, not listen to anybody else. And that's kind of what you guys have to do. The short of it is, if you want to be a developer, you got to be able to build stuff from scratch. If you want to lose weight, you got to stop eating ice cream. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be an astronaut, well, you got to have bajillion dollars and build a spaceship that looks like a phallus and go into space. You know, so like, there's certain things you need to do to accomplish certain things. And so the idea for you guys looking to break into this field is, you need to understand that the sooner you start building stuff from scratch that demonstrates your ability to code, the sooner you guys are going to land this job. I was stuck in like tutorial hell for such a long time that it was such a big waste of my of time, because after 3 years I still didn't know anything, and I ended up kind of spinning my wheels. So continue going. If you guys haven't seen my video, like, it's kind of like a funny video about learning to code and the kind of the journey I've been on. Let me just show it to you guys. Let me stop the music here for a second. Let me go to my YouTube channel. Like, this is like the feeling, like, it's a funny kind of feeling, not feeling. I kind of made like this funny motivational video for people to get motivated about learning to code. So if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna play it for you guys live right now. Let's see. I have to find. I have so many videos now on my YouTube channel. It's like ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, I guess I have to log in into my channel, not being myself, because it doesn't show to me. Let me do new private browser. Yep, incognito mode. That's what we need. Where did that video go? It's weird. But the point is like, I'll find it for you guys in just a second. Um, the point is though, like, it's a journey that you guys have to take. Let me put the music back on while I search for this video. It's a journey that we all have to take. We all have to go, put in the work, put in the hustle. But like, I made this kind of tongue-in-cheek motivational video to kind of that started out funny, but then halfway through it, I captured this idea of kind of the stuff I went through. Like people telling me that I'll never succeed, people telling me that I don't know what I'm doing. Life happened, like I had my daughter, I had Marissa, my father passed away from cancer. Like there's just so much stuff happens, and you just go through your journey and you do kind of like what you need to do regardless what is happening in your life, because at the end of the day you can only do the things that you can do. There's an ad on my own video, that's hilarious. Only do the things that you could do to get ahead and make your accomplish stuff. And so let me play this video for you, just to kind of, and hopefully you could hear the audio of it. Let's mute it. Let me unmute it here. So let me share my screen here. And this is kind of the essence of the reason why I have this channel. And this idea that if you're not motivated, if you're stuck, if you don't know like your path, like it's just, you kind of just have to keep going through it. And so, and maybe you guys will hate this video. Who cares? Who cares if you hate it, right? I don't care. I don't care. Like I don't care about a lot of stuff. Here, let me play it. If the audio doesn't play, let me know quickly in the comments. Otherwise, we'll watch a movie that has no audio.
Close your eyes and imagine the world
So
where
dumb.
you learn to
This is
code.
the video I made.
Imagine the girl, the boy that will love you for your ability to write HTML and CSS. How good would you feel when the app that you use on your phone is the one you made, that makes fun of people that call you? That would be amazing. What else can you make?
Yeah, see, you're learning from an idiot.
Possibilities, the dreams become reality. Now, open your eyes and say to yourself, you can do it. No matter what people say, even if there's no guarantee. Who needs a guarantee? This is what you want. You want to make your dreams a reality. Doesn't matter how old or young, smart or not. Just start coding, just start doing. Don't stop, don't give up. This could be your reality. Don't let haters slow you down. Just figuratively punch them in their necks, but not for real. There are so many people that decide to try new things, but one of the things they don't do is they don't start. And when they do start, they stop and don't continue. I started my first class when I was 10 years old learning to code on Apple IIe computers. Then I quit for the next 20 years. Then I coded on and off until I was 35. Then I started again on and off, and I kept going. My whole life I went through divorce, I had kids, I lost loved ones, but the one thing that I kept doing is never giving up. And now I'm here on this YouTube channel trying to convince you to do the same. I started freelancing. Just 4 months ago I landed my first job. And I could probably say that I'm a self-taught developer, even though I'm 40 years old now and my channel is called Coding After 30. So if I can do it, I know you can too. So subscribe, show the love, and we'll do this together.
So the point I wanted to show this video, like, and it's a silly, stupid video, like I had fun making. but at the same time, I wanted to throw some truth and reality into it, is the idea that, and we're listening to Stream Beats, as you guys could tell. And the reason why I made it is because I wanted to showcase kind of like life is going to happen to you guys regardless if you study to code or not. And you just have to decide if this is something for you that you want to do to get to have the benefit in your life, to change your life to a way where you are, accomplishing the things that you want. And so we will always be able to make excuses. We will always be able to say why it's hard, why it's difficult, why we cannot do it. But you're going to talk yourself out from success that you deserve. Instead, just focus on the work, keep moving forward, and you guys are going to get there. And so that's kind of like, that video is me in a nutshell, like what I believe in. And so your life will pass you by no matter what. And you just have to decide, what are you willing to do today to make sure that the life that you have will be the life that you want. And if you're too busy making excuses, if you're too busy saying, well, I can't do it because this and that, or my country, blah, 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 or this, that, maybe it's true. But why still not try? Why still not keep going and move forward to accomplish the goal that you want? And so for me, like, I will never, like unless you don't like it, unless you don't want to do it, unless it's something that you hate, like, don't do it. I'm not here to talk you to it. But if you like it and you want to do it, and the only thing that's stopping you is you still haven't gotten hired, you still don't have a portfolio that you need, well, build those things. Keep building your skill. Keep studying. Keep moving forward, because the beauty of this field is that, like, a year from now, you're going to be a better developer. A year from that year before, you're going to be even a better developer. And eventually, you're going to get the job. Eventually, you're going to get hired. And that's the fact. That's the undeniable fact. But if you're constantly spending time on YouTube, and, listen, if watching me interferes with you studying and learning and coding, building stuff from scratch, don't watch my channel. I'm going to say it straight up. And you need to put in the work. And so, like, I don't know your life. I don't know who you are. I don't know what difficulties you have. I do not know that. And you don't know me, like, except the things that I present on this YouTube channel and knowing a little bit about stuff that I had going on and whatever. And sometimes to share stuff from my teenage years, you'll be like, Jesus Christ, how do you even still here? Because we all have, skeletons in our closet. We all have weight and baggage from before that we feel is holding us back. But you have it. I have it. Bob, Joe have it. And so that's everybody has that. It's not anything that makes you special. Just because you've had difficulties in life doesn't mean you're special and somebody next to you didn't. We all have difficulties in our life. So just like, the point is that you can't run away from yourself. You can't. Like, you're always going to be here with yourself. You're always going to be here with your baggage. You're always going to be with the bad choices you had in life. You're always going to be with, like, stuff where, oh, this person's holding me back. This person's like, it's this person's fault. No, like, at the end of the day, there's things that you can control and there's things that you can't control. Don't complain and think about the things that you can't control that are stopping you. Work on what you can do. I could sit in front of this computer. I could build my project from scratch. I could do this, this, and this. And that's what you guys have to do. But, Brian, thanks. So epic. Yeah, it's a hilarious video. Hologram Nunchucks, I'm glad you liked the video. Yeah, it's like my favorite video because it's stupid. It's stupid, but at the same time, it has some truth in it and some reality. And I made it a while ago. Yeah, but it's like, it's just funny to me. Like, I sit here, talk about giving advice. And a lot of this stuff that I talk on YouTube, it's like, man, I wish I had some idiot like Paul on YouTube tell me to do the things that I need to do so I would do them sooner. And like a lot of the videos I make, and that's why I kind of say, I don't care if you watch my channel or not, if you subscribe or not, because at the end of the day, I make these videos for like if I were like make a video for my 18-year-old self, what would it be? And so every video I make is a reminder for me to keep going and to do the work that I need to do to continue to improve my skill as a developer and to continue to grow and be able to get the job. But anyway, guys, like, I think this is like, a great stream as always. I mean, I'm always going to say my streams were great as always, regardless of how they were. And those of you who joined me tonight, all of you, thank you so much. If you joined the stream late, you could always go back and rewatch them. And, like, it's, you know, like, you guys make this community. I am so lucky to be able to sit down here on Saturdays and have this chat with you. I started having a project stream Tuesdays, 7 p.m. US Central Time, where it's like raw, uncut, super boring because it's stuff related to coding, but it's good. But I do it because I want to show people what it really is like to code on your own, and the struggle that you should feel. And once you see those videos, you're like, oh, like that's exactly how I felt trying to do this on my own. I guess it's normal. It's not that I'm dumb or anything. And so that's that stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. But guys, like, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys all. If you guys don't have any last minute burning questions, we could call it a good night. Unless one of you has a burning question. What's a burning question? Come on, guys. Let's see. If you could ask one question right now, what would it be? What would be that one question that we could ask Paul that he did not expect, that's going to throw him through the loop? Or any question, any stupid question, like, go ahead and ask. Otherwise we'll go night. By the way, guys, like, I do the stream at 6 US Central Time. Is 6 a good time? Should I do it like 7 US Central Time? I don't know. Would it be, I'm still trying to figure out. And, Brian liked the epic video. After watching that, I'm ready to run through the wall. I know. Be careful, I feel like that all the time when I watch the video. But yeah, if you guys don't have any burning questions, going once, going twice. Lol, I just recently got monetized, so my videos were never monetized until like super recently. And I'm sure like they might get demonetized, but I don't think I'm doing anything illegal. I guess like sometimes I do swear, but I don't think like all my videos, they all say they're not for kids. So I don't think like the once in a while slip up make a difference. But if they do get demonetized, it's like, the fact is, making money off ads on YouTube, it's not a way to make a living unless you're like a hardcore YouTuber. Like, I don't want to be a hardcore YouTuber. I want to be a best developer that I can be. And if I do make money at YouTube, it will be off, my Coding After 30 becoming some sort of business. Maybe I do coaching, or I do, some tutorials or one-on-ones or whatever. But ads of YouTube, I'm not worried too much about it. Kron Gracie, is he gonna make it in the UFC? I don't know. Like, it'll be nice to see. Like, I haven't been watching the fights after, Khabib retired. I'm like, whatever. And what's hilarious, like, because I used to do MMA, I used to be like I literally used to not watch too much. I just liked sparring. I liked fighting myself. I like doing Muay Thai. So I don't watch it as much people think as I watch it. But I just loved Khabib so much that after he left, I was like, whatever. And yeah, but I also like watching not Gracie, like BJJ tournaments, like no gi, submission only. It's really fun. Hologram Nunchucks, thank you for being such a awesome, amazing person for joining these live streams. Because honestly, like, I do it for all of you guys, because I do it mostly for myself too, because I enjoy talking to you guys, especially with COVID. Like, it's hard to like always go out and talk to friends and have cool conversations with like-minded individuals. So that's kind of like what I like about live streaming, is that I look at you guys as like a community of friends that I could hang out with every Saturday night, and it's kind of fantastic and awesome. And Brian, I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Khabib was the man. Yeah, he was phenomenal. Like, the stuff that he did was like awesome. It's funny, when I used to do a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like I did it for a very long time, but halfway through it, I'm like, man, I got to become a better wrestler, because wrestling is legit, a lot of good fighters in UFC, because they're just phenomenal wrestlers. Yeah, all videos need is me and would get a lot. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you should be in all my videos. 100%. Yeah, YouTube is like, it's funny because a lot of people like, oh, you're gonna be a YouTuber. You're gonna like, YouTube is the hardest way to make money, and it's just like when people say don't do YouTube for the money, they don't say that it's a bad way to make money. It just wait, like you have better chance of becoming a developer and making your first 100K within 3 years, 4 years, 3 to 5 years, let's say, than you are becoming a YouTuber and making your first $100 within 3 to 5 years. I've been on YouTube for a long time. That doesn't, it's not a way to make money, you know? It's funny. Nice. I'm glad that these streams keep you company. And it's very important that you're working on your project. I like that. And one day you guys should share your projects. I do portfolio reviews once in a while. But any stream you guys want me to take a look at your portfolio, definitely be like, hey, Paul, check out my portfolio. And I will do it. I'll give you my unbiased opinions and stuff like that. But guys, you know, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thanks for joining me on this amazing Saturday. I wish you the best rest of the weekend and the week. I'm so glad and thankful to have all of you guys to come and chat with me. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next stream, which will be either Tuesday or Saturday. And then 10 days. I can't even speak anymore. It's been a while. I'm just going to take a nap live on stream. I'm going to turn off the lights. Relax here and take a nap. Naps would be great. I wonder how many of you guys would keep watching me napping. But before I go, let's see here. Chris into coding. Hey, caught the live stream late. Man, thanks for doing what you do. Man, thank you. And don't worry, if you're late, it's fine because we have these live streams. You could rewatch them again, and then anytime you could make it, we appreciate it, brother. And the fact that you came on late to say hello, damn, man, I appreciate you so much. Thanks, Chris. And Logic Indie, great stream. Take care. No, Logic, dude, you're amazing, dude. The stuff I learned from like having you show me how to make that game was like phenomenal. I think like it was just amazing. Thanks, Paul. Love these streams, dude. Hey, thank you so much. Thanks to all of you guys, man. See, this is what I'm talking about. The community is so awesome, so great that, you know, we just have such a blast. You know, thanks to all of you guys all the time. And I could be thanking you for the rest hour and stuff like that. So anyway, I am going to click the end button once I could find it and then go from there. So you guys have a great weekend. Until later, have a good night, good day, wherever you are. May all your dreams come true, only if you work hard.